So in this workshop, we're gonna uncover your story. I know you have a story. We all have some type of story. We might have forgotten about it. We might be uncomfortable talking about our story. But there's always a story there. There's a reason why you started your salon or your spa or your, local service-based business in the first place. There's something you've gone through, or, there's something you've experienced, which could be anything from, having a parent that also were in the trade, or, you just got inspired by a certain piece of work that you saw somewhere at some point. It could be, there could be many different reasons, right? To kind of why you moved into creating your business. And this is what we want to draw out here, and to find out what is, the story behind where you are today. So when we have a story, that comes with a number of benefits from a branding point of view. So first of all, it really enriches your brand and elevates the perception of your brand. I think that was clear when we looked at how premium brands are different, that you could really see how they all really have some type of story, right? They exist for a reason. They exist because of a consequence in the past. They weren't just launched, and that's kind of the story that describes that sequence of events that brought you to where you are today. And that makes your brand feel much richer than when you're just like, yes, we have, launched a hair salon, or, because we wanted to make money, or, that's, it's just very flat. But if you can uncover that story, that makes it much richer and much more premium in terms of how it's perceived. Stories also connect much better with people. So, people have been sharing stories with each other for thousands of years, or since, human kind started, if you want, because that's a great way of like connecting with people, that resonates with people on a more emotional level than otherwise. So that's also power that story have. It gives you also credibility to your brand purpose. So if you have a purpose statement that we worked on earlier, that explains, what is it that you want to achieve, how do you want to improve the lives of other people, and so on. If you have a story leading up to that, that will make that much more credible. And this is also good for like PR, because again, people like stories. We've always been sharing stories. So if you have a story behind what you do, that will make people more likely to talk about you, which makes it interesting for PR. So, as said, this is a very common practice in premium brand building. I just threw some examples on the screen here right now that you probably recognize. And what you will notice when you start to pay attention to these high-end brands is that they all have a story. If you take the Chanel brand by Coco Chanel, she was, if I remember correctly, orphaned when she was a child, and then she was raised by nuns who kind of taught her how to sew, and that's how she kind of created her life's work, and how she and the brand became what it was. That's part of the story of how that brand was founded. Or with the Hallberg brand, which is the saddle maker. They have like premium leather that is long lasting and like really high quality leather. How they moved into offering bags, and I know even the scarves, if I recall correctly, were used by soldiers, I think, during a time frame, because of the resilience of the material and kind of how they could use that in war and so on. So that there's a richness in the story behind that brand. You have the Patek Philippe brand, which is also like a luxury watch brand, who have a museum, in fact, that is based in Geneva, which I visited when I was living in Geneva, where you can actually find like all their different watches. You can hear about who has worn those throughout the years, and how did they come about. And there's like endless of stories behind each product that they have. And also like Louis Vuitton, who kind of invented the like flat topped trunk, because who he realized how that made it easier to travel with the bags, because you could place them on top of each other, and that created this kind of iconic bag that was part of the story of how that brand came about. And obviously, if you look at the hair industry, Vidal Sassoon is for sure an icon that has a story, with his unique shapes of cutting hair, and with their like lines and how they fit with the face and the lines that we have as people, which creates that kind of like really iconic looks and so on. Behind that brand, which now is a big brand, even if Vidal have passed, that brand lives on with his academy. And I was fortunate enough as well to work on his professional hair care line and color line as well as a brand manager. So, that lives on through the products and through his academy and through his teaching, and in many hair salons today are working, with the Vidal Sassoon technique. So I mean, this is just to throw some examples. And what you will notice is really like these high-end brands typically have some type of story. And this is something that makes those brands very rich and appear premium. When we uncover your story, of course, like how do you actually use that story? Like what should you do with it? So for sure, this is something that can travel in conversations, just when you're kind of clear on what your story is and how that fits into the business that you're running today. It's something that you will feature most likely whenever you present your business, if it's on your website or in other material where people learn more about you. You will see the story. And you can also use like assets of your story, so like visual assets, as you kind of create your brand and you move into executions of your brand. Everything from logos to like other graphics that you want to have part of your brand equity and your brand universe, that can be inspired from your story. Like a brand that is doing that extremely well that we had on the previous screen is the Hallberg brand, where you can really find, even in the logo, the saddle maker, you have the horse in the logo, and if you look at the motifs on the scarves, they all tell a story. It's all like using different assets, visual assets and visual representation of the story of the brand. I mean, obviously that's a very extreme example of looking at high-end luxury brands, but I mean, this is something you can have in mind as well as you uncover your story to see, is there parts of your story that you can, bring into your brand. And, people will not understand immediately. You don't understand immediately like why does Hermes have a horse in the logo. You don't maybe immediately understand it, but then you uncover that, okay, it was a saddle maker and blah, 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 and that talks about the quality of the leather, and then it kind of comes together. And that's just how premium brands often work, is like using this type of representation of the history in the brand, because that creates stories, it creates an interest and a premium perception of the brand when you do that. Really, in terms of how you should write your story, what I would say here is like use the format that fits you. There's not like a specific format. Like when we looked at some of the other components earlier in the in the previous workshops, I'm using quite a like specific format of how I recommend that you write those. I think for the story you have a bit more freedom, because it needs to be in line with your story and how you can best present that. But what you will find often in these brand stories is like some type of conflict and like a resolution. So kind of maybe how you encounter that something was missing, or you struggled with something yourself, and then you found a solution to that, and that's kind of what is bringing your business to where it is. Like if you take the Chanel story that we just mentioned, how she was raised by nuns in an orphanage, and how that kind of taught her how to create her life's work and so on. So there's often some type of conflict and resolution in there. I would also recommend obviously to include different important events that is part of your story and that has brought your business to where it is today, to kind of create that timeline as well in your story. But really here I would be more open to kind of how you want to express your story, and obviously having your overall brand in mind when you think about that, like who's your target client and so on. I mean, your story is your story, so that's what it is. But you can obviously think about who is going to see this, who's going to hear that, how will this story really resonate with her. Have that in mind as well when you write your story. So now it's time for that. So what's your story? We all have one. It's time to uncover yours. So just write a first draft of your story. Again, there's no max length or min length or anything like that. Keep it manageable, and also think about, because this is probably something you will be using directly in executions like on your website, and you might want a longer version and a shorter version depending on where you're going to use it. That's not really the point here. So for this workshop I would more just start thinking about what is like a draft of your story. Like why does your salon exist? What did inspire you the first time, or what made you want to do what you do, and kind of get that down on paper. And also make note of things that could be used for like visual assets in the future, or other things that could be used to kind of represent your brand, because these can be interesting to look back to when you later want to design your logo, or you want to like create something else that will visually represent your brand as well. So make a note of these type of artifacts that you find as you uncover your story as well. So, very exciting part, and I know, many times it can be uncomfortable, talking about our story, right? We're not used to kind of like talk about ourselves so much. But here's really where you want to bring that in, because people do want to hear this. So get your story down on paper, and that's the exercise for now. And I will see you in the next video.